So there is one thing that I hate about these type of videos. If I tell you the secret texts, they're no longer secret texts. And unless you didn't take the advice, then I guess they'd still be secret texts. What's going on with you guys? TheCaliEffect, King of Games here. And today, we're gonna be talking about some secret tech cards that can win you games. These cards can really help improve your particular strategy, or they can be pretty good at stopping the top contending decks. So of course, if you want to see more videos like this, then be sure to destroy that subscribe button, but also be sure to hit that notification bell because, well, we just too strong. So without further ado, let's jump on in. Now, currently on the Forbidden list, there is a very powerful monster in Thunder Dragon Colossus, which prevents the opponent from searching cards from their deck to their hands. The reason why Thunder Dragon Colossus was banned is because it was so easy to summon for Chaos type decks, and I guess Konami doesn't like Thunder Dragons. I don't know what to tell you. For quite some time, players have been looking to recapture that brilliance inside of an amazing card, only to find out that there's a card that's just like it. Like, that's been in Yu-Gi-Oh before it. Now, hopefully in the future, Konami does give us Thunder Dragon Colossus, but until then, if you don't need your normal summon, then Thunder King Rio is actually a pretty good card right now. Basically, what Thunder King Rio does, as long as this card exists on the field, neither player can add cards from their deck to their hand for the exception of drawing them. Also, if the opponent special summons a monster to their side of the field that does not activate its effect, that means if your opponent synchro, contact fusions, link summons, or special summons a monster like Blockbuster Soldier to their side of the field, you can tribute Thunder King Rio to negate the summon and destroy it. Thunder King Rio isn't necessarily for every Yu-Gi-Oh deck out there. It is fairly specific. You need to play it in a deck that can protect it, as well as a strategy that doesn't need its normal summon, but the reward can be so good. Preventing decks like Drytron, Virtual World, and Invoked type decks from searching, as well as stopping some of the best summons in the game like True King of all Calamities, Thunder King Rio can be a complete terror against some of the top decks if played correctly. You could say that he's the Thunder King of Yu-Gi-Oh right now, because he claps bad decks' cheeks, because clapping is a form of thunder. I don't think it's that true. The next card is almost the antithesis of Thunder King Rio. Since there are so many decks that like to search a lot, maybe we should take advantage of them searching. Thunder King Rio does prevent your opponent from searching it all entirely. Sometimes you just want to go along for the ride, or share that ride. Shared Ride is a quick play spell card that was introduced inside of the Legacy of the Valiant set, and its effect reads, when your opponent adds cards from their deck to their hand, you can draw cards from your deck to your hand. When I meant opposite of Thunder King Rio, this card literally lets your opponent does stuff, it just rewards you for being alongside them. Shared Ride is a really powerful card against decks like Drytron because of course they love to search cards, so why not just gain advantage while they're searching cards? It literally makes their Herald boards pretty much useless because as they're going to summoning this card, they're giving you resources to actually out the Herald that they're summoning. Now, Shared Ride is only really good against search heavy decks, so I wouldn't recommend it against some of the other top decks, but against the Drytron matchup, you can search or draw a lot of cards. In our last tech video, we talked about how some really good cards like Evenly Matched is really good against back row. Almost forgot to talk about some other really good cards that, yeah, they're just as easy to summon. Cards like Evil Swarm, Excited Knight are amazing against back row heavy decks. Basically what Excited requires is 2 level 4 monsters, and its effect reads, during your main phase or your opponent's battle phase, if your opponent has more cards on their hand than field than you do, you can detach 1 material to destroy all other cards on the field. Your opponent does not take damage for the rest of the turn. Evil Storm Excited Knight is literally an old school version of Evenly Matched. There was a point in time where this card was so powerful it was completely banned. I mean, yes, Evil Storm Excited Knight was one-sided. The thing that I like about Evil Storm Excited Knight over Evenly Matched is the fact that you just need 2 level 4 monsters to your side of the field to bring this card out. You can even follow up with Evil Swarm Excited Knight using it for an Exceed summon of Divine Arsenal AA Zeus. So essentially, not only do you get to wipe your opponent's board once just by them having more cards, you can even use Zeus's effect to wipe the board again, just in case they have cards. I think that right now is the perfect opportunity to make a comeback inside of this card game, and Evil Swarm Excited Knight is definitely one of them. I mean, it's exciton just to talk about this card. A card that I hoarded so many copies of because it only had one printing, only for it to get reprinted in Dual Devastator as a higher rarity. Damn you, Konami. Silent Graveyard is actually an amazing quick play spell card. What's effect read is discard one card, and any card that activates in the graveyard is just simply negated. Now, some players will probably argue that Abyss Dweller is a way better card. It's similar to how Evenly Match is to Excited Knight. You have more access to Abyss Dweller if you are playing level 4 monsters, but what if you're not playing level 4 monsters consistently? Silent Graveyard provides those decks with a card that can negate cards in the graveyard and is amazing against decks like Dino, Dogmatica, Drytron, Eldritch. It's literally good against almost every single Yu-Gi-Oh deck right now. I personally feel that Silent Graveyard is one of those silent techs to this format that players are completely sleeping on, ruining the opposing graveyard effects whenever you need it to happen. Now, all female Yu-Gi-Oh players need to close your ears. Yes, all 3 of you watching, please don't listen to this part. Fellas, you know when you wake up and you wake the dragon? Fortunately for us, that just so happens to be a really good Yu-Gi-Oh card. Fortunately for us, that just so happens to be a really good Yu-Gi-Oh card in this particular meta, especially where back row disruption is heavy. Waking the Dragon reads, if your opponent destroys this card by their card effect, then you can special summon a monster from your extra deck to your side of the field for free. There are cards like Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon, which is just completely unaffected by your opponent's card effects and is 3,500 attack. I find that pretty hard to get over. And then there's other monsters like the Last Warrior from Another Planet, which prevents players from summoning monsters to their side of the field. I find that card really good too. There are a plethora of cards that you can take advantage of if your opponent wants to use some cards like Harpy's Feather Duster, Twin Twisters, or Cosmic Cyclones, and just so happen to hit the Waking Dragon. I think you can really punish your opponent with some really cool monsters. Now, a lot of times we have to stick to the point, and if you don't, you probably get a gameplay warning. That was, I should probably stop because that didn't even make sense. Warning Point is a terrific card that made its debut in the Phantom Rage set, and it reads when your opponent normal summons or special summons a monster, you can negate that monster effect, and then your opponent can't use it for a link, synchro, fusion. They can't use the card, okay? They can't use the card. Warning Point is amazing because you just don't use it on the first card your opponent plays. You use it at that critical juncture to prevent that opponent from using it as an extension piece, even though you've negated its effects. Warning Point is also a normal trap card, so it can be set to your side of the field with Lady Lilith or Trap Trick. This card is just amazing at being able to stop your opponent's entire turn if used right. A card that completely stops a lot of the top decks in their tracks is Necro Valley. Now, Necro Valley is a field spell card that belongs to the Gravekeeper, so put some respect on my boys' names, which effect reads all Gravekeeper monsters gain 500 attack and defense. That's it, guys. Go home. That's what you need about Necro Valley. It is the ultimate Yu-Gi-Oh card. No one can stop it. What do you mean you're not playing a Gravekeeper deck? You should be playing a Gravekeeper deck. There's more to it? I guess I'll tell you the rest of the effect. Necro Valley also prevents cards from being banished in the graveyard, and it also negates cards that move from the graveyard to a different place. Necro Valley then follows up by negating cards that try to change their attribute or type in the graveyard. This card has received so many erratas, I literally have to redo this entire part because, erratas. Necro Valley is an amazing card against every single top tier meta deck. Eldritch, Drytron, Virtual World, all of them have some type of graveyard interaction, and Necro Valley just says no, don't touch the graveyard. I personally feel that the 500 attack boost for Gravekeepers is the best thing ever, but I could see why you'd play Necro Valley in your side deck for, the other reasons. They're okay. And the last card I want to talk to you guys about is a pretty good card. It stops monsters in the hand and monsters in the graveyard, kind of like, I don't know, Drytron monster effects, but it's also really good against other cards. Debunk is a powerful card that made his debut in the Extreme Victory set. Don't ask me how I know where these cards made their debut from. I just kind of I don't look it up. I literally just, I guess I just know. Debunk's effect reads, when a monster effect is activated in a hand or graveyard, negate that effect and then banish it. Debunk literally debunks any chance your opponent has to winning. I mean, if you play this card correctly. Now, at first, I didn't want to include this card onto this secret tech list because I feel that Solemn Strike is just a way better card. It negates the exact same thing that Debunk would negate, and it can also negate certain types of summons. The problem is Debunk actually banishes the card, so if your opponent wanted to use a Drytron monster in the graveyard, Debunk could actually stop that card and prevent it from being played again. Debunk doesn't also cost you a whopping 1,500 life points to activate. Who am I kidding? We're acting like life points ever mattered, but let's just stick on that narrative. And can be used until the later portions of the game in case it actually does come up. I do think that there's a spot for Debunk, especially since it can negate hand traps and cards in the graveyard, as well as banish them, meaning that against certain decks you'll never have to deal with those effects again. Well, that is all that we have for secret techs that will win you games. I want you to post down below in the comment section about these secret techs. What do you think of them? Have you been using some of them? And what is your success rate with them? Also, if you want to see more insane TheCaliEffect content, be sure to check out these videos, as I'll catch you on the next one.